Today, 7 ingredients to help you cook up better photography.
Tasty.
There's only one thing that we love more than eating food with chopsticks, and that's photography.
Oh, we are excited today to share with you these 7 amazing ingredients. So, the first ingredient that I want to talk about that I found really helpful for myself is find a mentor. That's so important. If you can't find a mentor, someone you can trust that'll tell you.
I just can't get over you looking like an eraser. Right now. Sorry.
And I don't know why these hats are so tall. I think it's so that little mouse that talks has lots of room to play inside your hat. But
anyways, okay,
so
ingredients.
Find a mentor. Find somebody that you can trust, somebody that can actually tell you the truth. I've always said, if you want people to tell you your photos look good, show them to my mom. She's going to say it's great, everything I show her.
Yep.
And I'm sure it's the same thing for you. You want some accolades, show it to your mom. But find somebody that's going to tell you, Steve, you can do better. Steve, the exposure's off. Find a community that you can join. Whether it is a true, a photo forum online, maybe it's your local photo club. So there's lots of places out there. So that's tip or your ingredient number 1.
That is a great ingredient to complete the whole meal.
It is.
The second one we have here is to take your camera with you everywhere. Now, I try to pack my camera everywhere I go, but there's times that I don't, and the coolest thing is now we've got these, right? The cell phones.
Yeah.
So I do now have a camera with me everywhere, but there are times, here's why this is tip number 2. There are times that I have left my camera at home and wished I had my camera because the cell phone just doesn't do. Maybe I want a longer zoom or wider or whatever.
And if you're like me and you're one of those hold-offs that hold off to get the newest phone, don't, because the cameras on those things are amazing. You've sold me on the idea of taking more photos with my camera.
Yeah, and I was just reading, in fact, last night.
With my camera. With my
phone,
telephone.
Reading last night that there's some brand new phones coming out, the next generation, that are just going to be amazing. But take your camera, pack it, leave it in your trunk, but just have it with you at all times, because there's going to be times that you want to take those pictures. So what do we got next?
Number 3. Ingredient number 3. That would be slow down. So often we get in such a hurry. We had a workshop just last weekend, and remember we had a couple people in there that it's like that building's not going anywhere, and it's rapid fire. Tick, 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 tick.
We called her Machine Gun Sally.
Exactly.
Right? And that's what it was like.
Whoa, back off. Here's my suggestion. Use a tripod. We all hate to use tripods. We talked about it in an episode past.
I hate to use
because we're lazy. We hate pulling it out. But here's the one thing the tripod does. It makes you slow down. It makes you think about your composition. It makes you think about your exposure. And you're just not machine gunning everything. So slow down and use a tripod.
That's right. Just keep it slow. The next one is to use flash. Now, if we look into our ingredients here in our walk, we've got our flash. So use it. We always hear, and we kind of make fun sometimes of the natural light photographer, right? Yeah. But you know what? When you look at people that are masters at using flash, and even those that are just beginning to use flash, it blows us away at how much better the picture looks.
Yeah.
Great saturation, great color.
These little lights are almost getting so smart, you don't have to think to use them. Yep. They just do it. They think for you.
So using flash, but also using, this is a big ingredient, using monolights. So, for example, we use the Interfit S1s here at Panoptic Chopsticks. But man, these things are just incredible, and what a difference it makes in your photography.
We've been saying it's game changer.
It's total game
Biggest
changer.
reason is you're holding the entire system there. It's battery powered. There's no cords, no anything. It does high speed sync. It does TTL, everything.
It's truly been a life changer. So great product, but use a flash. Use a flash.
Learn how to use it. So
what do we got next?
Number 5. Years ago, people always used to ask me, hey, what book do you recommend to learn photography? Well, there's a ton of books to learn photography, but when it comes to using flash, like we just talked about, I think that there is no book better than David Zizer's Captured by the Light.
Boy,
our
really
walk's going to fall over. Look at that. I'm out of frame. It's so tall. Captured by the Light. If you do not own this book, you need to go onto Amazon. We have the link down below to find this book. You need to purchase this book. It needs to be in your library. This is the Bible on how to do off-camera lighting.
You can actually see, this is my copy of this book. It's a well-worn book.
It is.
This book, you know, and it teaches you more about photography than you could ever imagine in a super easy.
Yeah. And when you look at it, you're going to go, it's a wedding book. I'm not a wedding photographer. It doesn't even matter.
Doesn't.
This book covers all the little tips and tricks you need to know how to master those flashes.
I think it's the best photography book that I've written. In fact, a lot of colleges are using it now. So.
Yeah, exactly. So
great.
That is my tip number 5, captured by the light.
Tip number 6 is the Sunny 16, and we just did one of our small bites about the Sunny 16. But you know, when you're out there taking pictures, and you have your camera, simply use Sunny 16 if it's super sunny outside. So what you do is you just set your camera to f16, and then you're going to set your ISO and your shutter speed to the same. So if it's 200 ISO, set your shutter speed to 200.
Yeah.
And
if it's 100, set it to 100 or close to 125.
You will be blown away with what happens. You'll take a picture, skies will be perfectly blue, clouds will be not just blown out white, but you can see the texture in the clouds, and everything in front of you will be in focus and exposed. It's
you
really,
don't have, it is one of those things you don't have to
amazing.
think. You just pull your camera out, set it to 16, match your ISO and shutter, and you're shooting on a sunny day.
16. Use it or lose it.
All right. And then our final 7th ingredient, that is always shoot in RAW. Why is it that you should always shoot in RAW? Because our RAW files, they're this big. Our JPEG files are this big. When we shoot a picture, you just mentioned clouds. Boy, how often have we taken a picture where our clouds have no detail in them? Well, if we shoot in RAW, there's a good chance that we can recover a lot of the details because our dynamic range is so much greater. We have more shadow and more highlight to play with.
Yeah, you really have to do it. In fact, let's do this right now. Let's load up our walk. Let's go out and take a photo walk and show them the difference between shooting in RAW and JPEG. And we can even come back and maybe even do a RAW talk about that.
Let's go do that.
All right, so let's load it up.
You ready to load stuff back up into
all
the
we
walk?
need. I think it's just that right now. And let's,
Okay.
don't forget my chopsticks. Let's take a walk.
Let's go.
All right, so we're out here on our photo walk, and we're going to teach 2 things today, 2 of our ingredients out of the 7 that we just talked about. First, we're going to talk about Sunny 16, and we're also going to talk about the comparison between shooting RAW and shooting JPEG, and why you always want to shoot RAW. So what I'm going to do is simply set my camera up. I'm going to set it in f16, and then I'm also going to set my shutter speed at 200 and my ISO at 200. And that's the key, is you got to make sure that your shutter speed equals the ISO. So if your ISO is 100, set your shutter speed to 100. If your ISO is 200, set it to 200, and so on. That will give you the perfect exposure in a bright sunny day. Now we're in a very bright, high contrasty day. I'm gonna go ahead and fire off the first picture here, and I'm gonna shoot this in JPEG. All right, there we go. Sunny 16, give me perfection. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna actually switch it over to, there we go, to RAW now. And there we got it. Perfect exposure, Sunny 16. So now let's go back and we're going to talk through our talking RAW, and we'll actually process those 2 images, and you can see the difference between shooting JPEG and shooting in RAW.
Oi, talking raw. Talking raw.
Well, that was fun just to get outside. I love this time of year. The weather is just perfect for getting out and taking photos. We're on our Talking Raw segment, and we have some beautiful sushi here that I am going to partake of while you give us the comparison of JPEG versus RAW.
That's right. So we were out just now shooting some pictures in our photo walk and came back into the studio here and gonna be opening up these images here in Lightroom. So if you're a Lightroom user, this tip is for you. But what we're doing is we're just looking at the difference between what you can pull out of a JPEG image, JPEG, if I can even say it, JPEG, a JPEG image. It's a shift in me, the JPEG image versus the RAW image. So I've got this picture that we just took, and you can see I used the Sunny 16. So it actually looks pretty decent, right?
Exposure looks great.
But one thing that we can do is if I just go over to my panel here in my develop module, and I just simply go down to the highlights. Okay, we're on the JPEG image right now. Go down to the highlights and pull them down.
Wow, you got more detail in the shadows.
I do, right? But that's in the JPEG. Now, let me just switch over to the same image. Looks just slightly different because it was taken at a different time. In RAW, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna slide that highlight down.
Wow.
Now check out what happens.
Huge difference.
So the dynamic range is amazing, the amount of dynamic range you have. Same thing can happen on our shadows. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just, on my JPEG image, going to slide that shadow. I'll slide it all to the right so you can see pulling out as much shadow as I can, but I can also really increase the shadow.
Yeah.
So if I want to just crush those blacks, I can do that too.
That means I don't even have to take pictures the right way anymore,
But
right?
again, that was just on the JPEG. Now watch this. We're going to do the same thing on the RAW.
Let's look at it.
Slide it to the right. Check that out. Like all that detail,
Yeah.
that shadow detail is there.
I thought there was detail until you did that.
Now slide it to the left, and now it really crushed those blacks. I mean, it's a big difference. So that alone should be a reason for shooting RAW. Now, one thing that people say, and this little caveat to shooting RAW, people always say, my pictures don't look good when I load them in Lightroom or Photoshop when they're in RAW. They always look better in JPEG. That's because the camera is doing a lot of the processing in JPEG for you.
You like have a little mini Lightroom program built in your
color
camera.
balance and everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets it right. Other times it messes it up big time. So
I prefer to make those decisions rather than my camera doing it for me. So
and then this is a little tip on your tip for an extra tip today. Make sure you're using a calibrated monitor. These Surface Pros that we have, these screens are actually amazing right out of the box.
Monitors have come a long
they
ways,
have.
From just even a few years ago.
But if you have the ability to calibrate your monitor, do that because everything will be better.
I
So that
agree.
was your extra tip on your tip for your tip. But that was our talking raw. All right, we're gonna enjoy the rest of the sushi.
Let's get some of the sushi. All right.
It's now time for Fortunate Questions with the Chopstick Guys.
It's time.
Oh, you did it! You picked it up this
I
week.
did it. Look at that.
I am impressed. What?
Do you know you're still wearing your hat? Do you know how ridiculous you look right now? And would you hurry and take this before it falls and I look like
now I have hat
the
hair.
inexperienced chopstick holder?
All right, so our fortunate question for today.
All right, who's it
And the
from?
question is, will the question be upside down like usual?
It won't be.
No.
Oh,
Woo!
it's the right
First time.
way.
This question is from John in Roseville, a local boy.
Hey, John.
And John says, I know you guys travel a lot. What's the best backpack or carry bag for your camera gear?
Amazing. It's a good question.
It is a great question.
You know, we should do a show here in a couple weeks on just backpacks. Because it's not like we
Punching
don't
us
have
so loud.
enough backpacks to pull out of our closets to show you. But let us talk about what we're using today. Why don't you grab your backpack?
Yeah, I don't have
It's
it
over
here.
there.
Let me run out of studio.
I'm going to show you real quick why he's grabbing his backpack. This is the Everyday Messenger Bag by Peak Design. I've been carrying this thing every day. I mean, you can look inside here. There's 7,200 lands. I got a body. I got all kinds of stuff tucked away. They got this great shelf system. Here you come. But this is a great bag. If you like a shoulder bag, there's so many cool features of this thing. We talked about it a few weeks ago. The stuff we love about it. The fact that it's got like a safety belt material holding this up. But
yeah, so we do, John, you're right. We do travel a ton, and we're always on the go all during the week.
Yep.
And a lot of weekends. And we're always looking for gear that helps us travel better. This has kind of rocked my world. It's Peak Design backpack. It's called the Everyday Backpack. This is a smaller version. This is the 20 liter. They also make a 30 liter, which is bigger. But I just love this thing. One of the things I really love, and I've showed this on one of our gadgets that we
this out
love,
of the way.
but just the fact of how this thing opens, right? It opens on the side, and it's got all these pockets, zipper pockets and stuff that are expandable. And then it's got these little shelves that flap open. And we'll cover actually this in probably one of our next episodes
Exactly.
here.
We talk about
how this
backpacks.
Bag works, but
Never seen a
really
system
cool. So
like
it
this.
opens up on both sides, the exact same way that I just opened the other one. It's got this really great connector on the top that's magnetic, right? And then it fits right on and clips on.
I find a lot of times mine just falls over and it locks at least.
It's
I
just
know
awesome.
that it's always
a big compartment on the top. Again, all these are shelves. It's got straps everywhere. I just love this thing. This has really helped me with travel. Plus, the thing is too, when I carry this, I can carry it like a messenger bag on either side.
Either side with a handle.
Great handles on the top, and it just fits well. Also, I love the way that these things swivel. Actually, they're not connected. They're on a swivel pivot. It's just awesome.
It's
So-
great travel backpack. You know, somebody asked us last time we talked about this backpack, and they said, "Steve, there's no way you have all that stuff in your backpack. What's in your backpack?"
Yeah,
you got
essentially
two bodies
said,
that you took
You're
out.
lying. You don't have all that stuff. No, I had all that stuff. I had 2 bodies, 4 lenses, video gear, loom cubes.
Yeah, it was heavy bag,
Right,
but
it was heavy.
it fit. That was what was amazing.
So, John, that's an awesome question.
Yeah.
Those currently are our favorite bags. There's so many backpacks and stuff out there, but this stuff works for us in the way that we travel and the gear that we have.
And very lightweight. So thank you again, John. Hey, if you're out there and you have questions for the Chopstick guys, we want you to, in the description below, go ahead and submit your questions. You can go on our Facebook page, our website, send us questions, and possibly your question will be forced.
Real quick, Peak Design has been very generous. They actually gave us a discount
They did.
code that we can use for all our different shows. So That was a great question
make
to come
sure
in
we
because
link
it allows
that.
us to link that coupon code.
Yeah.
But thanks, John, for that question. Sorry.
Yep,
to
it
interrupt
will
you.
be in the description. So
Yep.
great question, John. So again, send us in your questions. We want to hear from you. Great episode today. As we start to close, some food for thought.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, this episode with these 7 ingredients, I think we cooked up a great meal in photography today. But the 7 ingredients really come down to just use your ingredients, right? Everything's bland without putting in better ingredients, quality ingredients.
Yep.
And that's the same thing with photography. If you add more ingredients, usually
Yep.
it's going to taste better.
And you need to learn how to use those ingredients. You know, it's just like going to cooking school. You know what works with what. We
Yep.
talked about using Flash. If you don't know how to use Flash correctly, take a workshop. You know, in our area, we're teaching workshops all the time where we're teaching Flash. I know there's some in your area too, or come in and join us for one of those classes.
Yeah. And that can make all the difference in the world, just learning that.
Use your stuff. Keep learning. Nobody knows it all. It's always changing.
That's right.
Yeah, constantly.
All right, thanks for joining us today here on the Panoptic Chopstick Show, your place where we bring fun to photography. So have a great week. We'll catch you again next week, same time, same place on our YouTube channel. And we will see you later. Keep clicking.
Don't forget to like and subscribe below. We'll see you later.